For those that are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. Scott MacIntyre is my guest. You know him probably from American Idol, but he is so much more than someone on a show. He has written a book, By Faith, Not By Sight, the inspirational story of a blind prodigy, a life-threatening illness, and an unexpected gift. Scott, you know, you mentioned, and it's interesting the way that you mentioned it. You said, of course, you know, being born blind and how your family could have felt. A lot of people would have thought, well, you had every reason yourself to be bitter and you know and to have these feelings, that this was putting you at a disadvantage. You never looked at life that way. Talk to us about how, through your attitude, and I think this really shows all of us, regardless of what situation that we're in, the importance of our attitude towards a situation. Talk to us about how you're deciding that you were not going to let this stop you, how that really did shape the rest of your life.
I think when obstacles pop up or when people face uncertainty or hurt or anything that we would call a bad thing in their life, I think some of us have a tendency to kind of focus on the negative by default, and we kind of gloss over what we might learn from the situation, how it might shape us as a person, how we might grow stronger in life through that situation and come out a stronger person on the other side. And if you choose, though, to kind of, say this is a tough situation, I don't know the outcome, I am uncertain, I do feel overwhelmed, I am a little bit lost here, but let me try to focus on some of the good things. I guarantee you will be able to find the silver lining in that cloud. You can find the blessings among all those difficulties. And that's what I did. I couldn't do a lot of things growing up. I could never play baseball. I could never see when a girl was smiling at me. I could never drive a car. I have never driven a car to this day, at least not as far as anyone knows. But I had my love of music, and that love for music and that passion more than 100% compensated for my lack of vision, and I decided that I was going to focus on what I could do and not worry so much about the things that I couldn't do, the things that I didn't have control over.
Yeah. You have been able to, I think, Scott, through your life, also give hope for individuals. Did you know as you progressed that as people got to know who you were, especially now, of course, now that they know other things as far as, things that I didn't know about you, dealing with dialysis, kidney, having the kidney transplant. Do you feel as though, or do you see that a big part of your life is being a motivation for others and showing them what's possible for them as well?
I do. That's kind of why I wanted to do this book, and I think why I do anything. I wanted to say to people in a very loving way that, there is no obstacle too big, there is no hurt too deep that you can't overcome if you walk by faith and not by sight. It's the title of the book, By Faith, Not By Sight, is kind of it's a literal thing for me because I don't have my sight, but it's also a great metaphor for life. There are so many situations in life where you can't see where you're going. You just can't. You don't have all the information. You don't have all the answers. None of us can predict, everything about where we're going to be in a few days or a year or 5 years or 10 years. And it's easy to get caught up in that uncertainty. But if you focus on the end goal and don't worry as much about the little steps along the way, the little, the things that you don't know about, you will succeed. And I remember trying to learn to play the piano when I was a little kid. I could not see the sheet music. I couldn't see the notes on the sheet music in front of me. I couldn't see the piano keys. And, no teacher that I came across had ever taught a blind pianist before. I didn't know how I was going to do it. My parents didn't know. The teacher didn't know. But I didn't give up. And what we found was I could do it by ear. If I listened to the right hand of a piece and then the left hand, I could memorize them and put them together. And that was the very beginning of overcoming one of these huge obstacles. It was the same with American Idol. They had never had a blind contestant on American Idol before, and I didn't know where the cameras were. I didn't know how I was going to connect with people at home and get them to vote for me or get them to like me, or I didn't know if they would like me if I couldn't even look into the camera and connect with them in that way. And, the music industry is a very visual industry, and so it's been an exciting journey for me even to be in this industry as a blind person.
Right. Well, and then to know that your peers, that they see the truth in you as well. Scott, there's that one part in the book, and I made a note of it because where Kara said to you backstage, you make a difference in people's lives, and that is the most incredible thing. Do you think that also puts celebrity life in perspective and put what success actually means in perspective as well? The difference that we're able to make in others' lives through what we're able to do.
Yeah, it was. It's really interesting. I remember her saying that very clearly. She was the fourth judge on Idol that year. We had Randy, Paula, Simon, and then Cara Diaguardi, the new judge. Incredible songwriter, good friend of mine. And I was backstage, and I had just been voted off American Idol, and I was sad. I knew it was the beginning of the rest of my career, though, and so I had a lot of mixed emotions. And she comes up to me backstage as I'm walking off, and she says, "None of this, all of this that's gone on, all of this, none of it matters because you inspire people, and that's what counts." And I think about that and I reflect on that, and I think you're absolutely right. I think all of the glitz and the glamour and the fame and the fortune of the world can never compare in the end to one person's life being changed. And when I went on American Idol, I was just hoping that maybe I could change one life out there. Maybe I could make a difference in one person's life for the better, and that would have been worth it to me. And I was very surprised that it went a lot further than that. But it's just very humbling to hear that, and to know that not only people are enjoying my music and enjoying my story, but that it actually leaves them changed after they hear it, or after they hear the song or hear my story. If I'm not making a difference in the world, I don't think there's any point to doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's really a powerful story, Scott. Again, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on. We're actually going to be sharing parts of this for an upcoming issue of our magazine as well, because I really think that people need to know that all is not lost. And I think regardless of what situation they're going through, whatever they're faced with, that your story really does show that no matter what, there is a silver lining. It's really up to us to be able to look for it and to not be afraid of it, and to have the faith, as you talked about earlier, Scott, to be able to step out. Now, one of the fascinating parts of the book, and I mentioned this to you before we went live, that I wanted to actually read this because I thought it was really so powerful, and that was the jogging scene that happens in the book. Now, of course, your question when it came to running by yourself was, what if I hit something? But you were able to go out there, and this is what you said, and I want to just read it. It's on page 40 of the book in the chapter Leap of Faith. "That was all I needed, and I ran as fast as I could. Though there were still a lot of unknowns, I didn't let fear of what might happen stop me. And yes, occasionally I ran over yesterday's sandcastles, tripped over seaweed, or stepped into a hole that wasn't there the day before. But I didn't let those things stop me from the pleasure of running. Even today, one of my favorite things is to go to the beach with someone I trust, and when they give me the okay, I run. I run without fear. I run free." And that is one of the most powerful parts of this book, because it really shows us that you just have to go for it. So talk to us about what that's like for you and what that means for you today that you share with other people.
I think in my heart I have never stopped running. When I was a little kid, running on the beach, it was one thing, but it was the most exhilarating feeling to feel the wind rushing past my face, and being able to put my trust in someone, something other than myself, and the freeing experience that is. And I think that's how you have to live life. If you want to live an exciting life, if you want to find out what you're here for, you gotta run for it. This is a race we're running. And I haven't stopped running since. I try to make the most of every single day. I try not to let any opportunity pass me by, and that is what has given me the full life that I have today. And I think putting my trust in other people at such a young age because of my limitations, and having to trust God because of my limitations, really shaped me in a way that when I grew up, I was much more equipped to run after the big things, like American Idol and my music career.